Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue watching 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After, the episode from this week. Let's watch it. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. And as I always say, don't use YouTube as a replacement for therapy. If you need a therapist, get one. You deserve it. You really do. Let's watch.
Lifestyle change going. So I went to see a hypnotist to stop smoking, and I didn't want a cigarette after I left hypnotherapy. And then I start thinking about that son of a bitchin' husband of mine. He's definitely the main trigger of my smoking.
All right, so two things. One is she called her husband an SOB, a bad name, and that didn't seem to be in a playful way. We could categorize that as abusive language. At the very least, it's not a good indicator of the longevity of their relationship or the quality of their relationship. I don't know, but that doesn't bode well. The second thing is that she is saying that she went to hypnotherapy for a little bit of time. We don't know how long. I'm guessing it wasn't very long. She was able to be sober from cigarettes, so that was good. But then the stress of the relationship with Michael caused her to smoke cigarettes again, according to her. So essentially what she is saying is that if it wasn't for my SOB husband, I would be sober from cigarettes. This is a classic addict thing to say. And when you go to drug treatment, this is chapter 1, which is you cannot blame other people for your problems. You are responsible for your problems. You can certainly be triggered by things for sure, but you can't blame someone else for your behavior. Maybe you need to manage your stress in your life. Maybe you need to go to your husband and say, hey, we need to work on our relationship so that I'm not triggered. But you are responsible for sobriety. And just as I thought, her sobriety was not attainable. Of course, we saw the hypnotherapist said that he had a 93% success, or that hypnotherapy has a 93% success rate. I looked up several research articles and discovered the consensus was more like, 10 to 30, 10 to 40%. And that probably means that you are going consistently for several weeks, and there's several sessions where you're not doing hypnotherapy at all. You're just talking about regular smoking cessation techniques, which will include going to a lot of meetings, having a lot of support groups, having ways of dealing with stress that don't involve cigarettes. So it doesn't sound like any of that was in place, so I'm not surprised that she's back to smoking. So if I, given what we've heard, were to conceptualize her relapse, I would not characterize it as Michael's fault. I would characterize it as a fault of the treatment program that she's on. It's not robust enough. Quitting smoking requires usually a very robust system, often involving daily work. Daily exercises, daily check-ins, frequent meetings, particularly in the first few months.
Now, all this sneaky is doing, this time, our relationship might be unrepairable. That's why I'm gonna get somebody to check that phone.
What you gonna do, hack his phone?
I damn sure am. And if I'm right, he ain't seen the wrath of me yet.
Okay, so I haven't reacted much to these clips, but to bring y'all up to speed, if you haven't watched, which I'm guessing you have, is that Michael is upset, he's in his home country, that Angela is spending what seems to be like $30,000, $50,000, $60,000 on her surgeries that Michael doesn't even want her to do. One, doesn't feel like he needs her to do that, and also doesn't want to spend that kind of money on things that aren't as important as other things in his life, namely having a child, which is extremely important to him, which Angela has known about from the beginning. Now, from the beginning, it sounded like the two of them had a major difference in this way, and I reacted to all those clips, and I think probably I said at some point, the two of them should really question whether or not they are made for each other when it comes to marriage, given that fundamental difference in their goals in life. She doesn't want to have kids, or is at least not excited about it. And he desperately, desperately wants to have kids, and his whole community, his whole family wants him to have a child. So he is upset about that. And so they haven't talked for a while, Angela and Michael. Now, we don't know what the deal is, but it sounds like it's possible that Michael isn't happy about things, but at the very least, you'd think he would reach out to her and say, hey, how did the surgery go? How are you feeling? But that's not happening. But in the absence of these conversations the past few days, Angela is now starting to wonder if he is cheating on her. And it's not uncommon for that thought to come into your mind. It's usually due to attachment insecurity. And due to a lifetime of attachment insecurity that makes us paranoid about what's going on. And then also their relationship hasn't been going very well from the very beginning. And so she has reasons to believe that maybe he doesn't really like her that much. So instead of going to him and saying, hey, are you upset? Let's talk. I'm getting a little worried that you're cheating on me. I'm sure that you're not, but these thoughts are starting to, creep into my mind. We need to bond, because then if we bond, I won't feel this way anymore. Instead, she goes to this place where she is convinced that he's cheating, and now she is going to hack into his phone, which is a massive trust violation. So let's assume that he's not cheating on her, which seems probable, but who knows, because we don't really know any of these people. But it doesn't seem likely, given what we've seen on the show, that he is cheating on her. And instead, so he's probably not cheating on her. They haven't talked in a while. She's worried, okay. And instead of having a conversation with him, she is going to violate his trust by breaking into his phone. And probably, even if he isn't cheating, there's probably something in his phone that would look like he is cheating. If you look hard enough, there's little indicators. So not a good idea. Now, what if she does find evidence that he is cheating? Does it make it okay? I don't know. You tell me in the comments below.
Don't talk to me like that. Your network is bad here. I'm just entering my car now. I'll call.
No, I don't care to see you.
Whatever, I don't care. I beg.
And we know you don't care. We know you didn't care until you got what you wanted. You know what? You know your woman so well, you don't know me worth a.
All right. So we've been here before. Now, maybe she has a legitimate reason to be upset, but she doesn't seem to have any legitimate reason to be talking to him like this, as she often will do. My speculation about her is she has a lot of traumas of being humiliated, maybe by her family or by bullying or both or something. And she will do anything to avoid being made a fool, being made to seem like she is the chump. And so she will do anything. And one of the things that people will do when they don't have a lot of options available to them in their mind is they will say, I will overpower. You will not humiliate me. I will humiliate you. And in the process, they humiliate themselves. And then they incur a lot of bullying upon them. So let's just speculate. Who knows? But let's say that she experienced bullying or some kind of humiliation, some kind of talking down to her, making her feel disrespected, making her feel small. And then she has two choices. Usually people have two choices. They can either say, okay, screw it. I'm small. I'm little. I'm nothing. And that's just the way the world is, and so I'm going to be attracted to people who treat me that way. Or you can do the opposite, where you can say, I will overcompensate. Even though I feel like I'm nothing, I'm going to make everyone understand that I'm big and I'm strong and I'm powerful, and I'm going to make everyone else feel small in relation to me. No one will ever think of me as small. I will always come off as big. I think that's possibly what she's doing. What that does, though, is when you do that, people see through it, they react to it, and maybe even the audience of 90 Day Fiancé, and then they will bully her. So in her effort to try to avoid being bullied and being put down, she overcompensates, but unconsciously she is provoking everyone around her, maybe even Michael himself as well, to look down on her and belittle her and make her small. That is the tragedy of relational traumas and the defenses that we build up to protect us from those traumas. The trauma happens to her, then you need a defense, you overcompensate, but subconsciously what you're doing is you're pushing everyone into a position where they will continue to belittle you, and the cycle just goes on, and then you have even more reason, more need to defend yourself, more need to be big, and the cycle just continues.
Oh, shut up. You're a nasty son of a bitch.
Oh, you want me to start saying about you? What you call me?
I know how you see I'm calling you a bitch. I do that openly. You're the one that's the nice guy. I never claim to be the nice bitch.
And I think that this fella who she was begging to hack into Michael's phone having him in the room is fueling her. I think this is what gives her fuel, is that in this moment she feels like maybe this innocent bystander is looking on the two of them and saying like, oh, you know, in her mind, he is trying to evaluate whether or not she's big or small. And so she is going to make sure that this audience of one is going to know that she is not the small one, she's the big one, and she is potentially showing off in this moment. That's the flavor of it. I don't know. I'd have to ask her, but it certainly seems possible.
And finally, I get him on the phone today, and what do you think he does? He wants to overtalk me, scream at me, and make me snap and go to cussing. Because this is not the man I want. This is not who I fell in love with. Why are you talking to me like that? Because you're over there and not here? Well, you keep on, you're going to stay your ass over there.
So I don't know what you all saw, but what I saw was that she started it. She was yelling at him and disrespecting him, and he was potentially just defending himself. I don't know. I don't know their relationship well enough to be able to know that for sure, but it certainly looked that way to me. So for her, as she walks away from that conversation, she sees he was disrespecting her, which I think most of us would agree she was the one who was disrespecting him.
This is the man that conned me to marry him. Look. He's laughing while I'm getting pissed off. What woman would be married to this?
See, I think this is an element in her behavior right now, that this audience of one is somehow wrapped up in her behavior right now, that she feels like this one person is some kind of judge and jury, some witness to who she is as a person. And so she's determined to make sure that this one random store worker understands that she's the big dog and Michael is the little dog.
She just started yelling the moment that he answered the phone. I really didn't even hear his voice. I don't know what he said. The fight started right away. So it was uncomfortable. I was just like sitting there like not having anywhere to go. It was a really unusual day for a work day.
I can't look at him no more. I got too many good-looking men outside there sitting around me. I don't need this ugly son of a bitch.
Yikes. Yikes. I thought this behavior might be in the past. We haven't seen this in a while. I don't know why I thought it was in the past for good. Of course, it's still around. It's upsetting. It's difficult to watch.
Listen, here's the deal. You're an ugly son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. Son of a...
And as a reminder, using names to call someone a bad name, using SOB, is abusive. It's not okay. It is always dysfunctional. There's really no reason to do it. If you're upset, if you're hurt, you can communicate it in a myriad of other ways that are less abusive than this.
Bitch. Now.
I am handsome man.
That you say, handsome man. That's why you had to get online and manipulate me.
Look at the way you are talking to your husband. Who do you think you are? Are you God?
I don't want to hear you no more. Goodbye.
I don't know, but there's what kind of mode do we call this for her? It's almost like I hate to say this, but it seems like a Jerry Springer mode. This mode of there's an audience, even if it's just one person, and I am going to big dog this other person. But in the weird twist of events, as you try to big dog someone, you are looking like a small dog. You are looking a small dog. You're looking like someone who doesn't know what they're doing. You're provoking other people to big dog you. And so I don't know about you, but when you watch this scene, notice the feelings that you're having. She is subconsciously pushing everyone, the guy in the room, and I guess by extension us as viewers, into feeling something. And this is an important thing, and maybe this is something, I know I've talked about this before, but maybe not in this way. You can learn a lot about yourself and about other people in the feelings they provoke in you as you watch them or as you interact with them. That if you feel right now, as a lot of people do, I think, Angela's, there's something wrong with her. I want to reject her. I don't want to see her anymore. I hate her. I have contempt for her. I want to call her names. I want to scoff at her. I want to roll my eyes at her. I want her to know how small and how stupid she is, or, whatever. You have these thoughts in your mind. Well, that can be potentially her subconsciously injecting that into you because that's how she feels on the inside. She has this war going on the inside between you are stupid, you are contemptuous, you're a terrible person, you're dumb, you're small, you're weak. And this other part is like, I know I'm weak. I feel small and weak. Or, no, I'm not weak. And you can't say that about me. And instead of having that on the internal, we will prefer to project one side out through projective identification and other reenactments. And it's possible that audience members are feeling what she actually feels about herself on the inside. I don't know. It's something that I do as a therapist all the time. When I feel something like this, if I had a feeling like this toward a client, it's usually because they are subconsciously getting me to feel this way about them. And it's an indication as to what's going on inside of them and the relational traumas that they internalized earlier in life.
I'm blocking him. This son of a bitch here, he's got the wrong bitch. I didn't get married to have these problems. You see, we don't need to be married, do we?
Now, this doesn't excuse Angela's behavior. It's abusive. It's uncalled for. It doesn't make any logical sense. And now she's talking to some tech worker about whether or not she should be married or not. It's an interesting behavior.
All right, but you never had a customer like me, have you?
It's always a first time for everything.
Yeah. I never would have thought in my wildest dreams that Michael would be treating me like this. Maybe Michael didn't marry me for the right reasons, because ever since we got married, he's treated me different than he did before we got married.
Okay, so I'm a little lost. I don't know all the details, of course, because we're not there all the time. The cameras are only there a small portion of the time. But from what I have gathered, the two of them were doing well. She was going into surgery and doing all those things. And then there was a span of time, sounded like 3 days, where he and her, they weren't talking. And she interpreted that as some sort of rejection, as an indication that he's cheating on her. And then once she got a hold of him, she started to blast him with all this verbal abuse, and he was defending himself. But now she's completely convinced that he's treating her horribly, that he's cheating on her, that he's an SOB, that she needs to divorce him. Do I have that right? Let me know in the comments. Did I miss something?
Like, he doesn't even care if I get upset no more. He doesn't care if we don't talk no more. He just don't care.
Okay, who knows? But it's possible that he is fed up with the abuse. He is fed up with the way she talks to him. He's fed up with the explosiveness for no reason. It's possible that he has reached the end of his limit and he's saying, I'm just not going to participate anymore. There's no point. I feel hurt. I don't want to do this anymore. Who knows? All right, well, that does it for that episode. If you didn't know already, we're going to do a 13-hour live stream on YouTube on August 7th, I believe, Saturday, 2021. It is our 13th anniversary for this podcast. We have been doing this podcast, me and Umberto, for 13 years. So join us there. Also, if you want to send us a card or a gift or something, we'd love to get something and open it up during the live show. You can send gifts or cards to 10002. That's 3 zeros, 10002. Aurora Avenue North, Suite 36, number 214, Seattle, Washington, 98133-9334. That's 10002. Aurora Avenue North, Suite 36, number 214, Seattle, Washington, 98133-9334. We'd love to get a card if you want to send one, or whatever you want to send to us. So, and everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.